Cleves. This meeting is now called to order. To rise for the pledge. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right, we have 3 council members to swear in for 2022. Ms. Boyce was already sworn in by Ms. Abrams earlier, so we'll go ahead and swear our new members in.
Why not reduce?
I don't want to. Or I can do it in your seat, or I can do it out there either way.
I'm gonna stand, I just
Well,
want
we
to
could
go
just
first.
stand here. He's gonna do them all together,
Oh,
so.
can we stand?
Here it goes. All right, raise your right hand, please. I, and state your name.
I, Ivan Martins,
Do you hereby solemnly swear or affirm
hereby solemnly swear
that I shall support the Constitution of the United States
that I shall support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
and the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
and that I shall faithfully,
and that I shall faithfully,
honestly,
honestly,
and impartially
and impartially
discharge the duties of member of council
discharge the duties of a member of council
for the Village of Cleves, Ohio,
for the Village of Cleves, Ohio,
for the term ending December 2025,
in the term ending December 2025,
to which I have been elected.
to which I have been elected.
Congratulations. Thank you. Welcome back aboard. Roll call, please, Mr. Britt.
Mr. Byrd.
Here.
Ms. Brady.
Here.
Ms. Meyer.
Here.
Ms. Meister.
Here.
Mr. Williams. Here. Ms. Boyd.
Here.
We have a motion to approve the previous council meeting minutes.
I'll make that motion. I'll second.
Roll call, please, Mr. Britt.
Mr. Byrd.
Yes.
Ms. Brady.
Yes.
Ms. Meyer.
Yes.
Ms. Meister.
Yes.
Mr. Williams.
Yes.
Ms. Boyd.
Abstain.
And do we have a motion to approve pay ordinance number 1-2022?
Any questions? I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Roll call, please, Mr. Britt.
Mr. Byrd.
Yes.
Ms. Brady.
Yes.
Ms. Meyer.
Yes.
Ms. Meister.
Yes.
Mr. Williams.
Yes.
Ms. Boyd.
Yes.
Thank you. And as it is a new year, we need to nominate a new vice mayor for 2022. Council, go ahead and proceed.
I'd like to nominate Kevin Burns. He's been on council for quite a while. He's never served as vice mayor, and I think he deserves a turn at it.
I'd like to nominate Todd Williams again.
I'm the second of Ms. Meister's motion.
Any other nominations?
Do they get to, I have a preference if they would rather do it, or do we just, you know what I mean, like, if they
Oh,
would
yeah.
like it or not, I don't know how, or do we just?
Welcome to comment, then vote on it.
Statute doesn't really give any guidance on the procedure of getting it done, it just says it has to be done at the first meeting in January.
Mr. Burns, you open?
I'm open to the responsibility.
Thank you. Mr.
Of
Williams?
course, we all get along.
All right, we'll go ahead, do a roll call vote then. All those for Mr. Burns, please do a roll call.
This is for Mr. Burns for Vice Mayor. Mr. Burns.
Yes.
Ms. Brady.
Yes.
Ms. Meyer. Ms. Meister.
Yes.
Mr. Williams. Ms. Boyd.
Yes.
That was the 4 of your 6. That's the motion will carry.
Mr. Burns, welcome aboard. Thank you. On to our public comments, and do we have anybody that would like to speak tonight?
We have no one who's asked.
Nope. All right, thank you. Go on to our old business, so we have the levy to discuss. It's been referred to the council as a whole. comment on that?
To referring to the council as a whole is simply to move to a part of the meeting where it would be more informal, so everyone can participate. Takes a simple motion and a majority vote to do so.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Burns?
Yes.
Ms. Brady?
Yes.
Ms. Myers?
Yes.
Ms. Meister?
Yes.
Mr. Williams?
Yes.
And Ms. Boyd?
Yes.
I think you received some information about what each mill would bring in. This, as you know, our continuing levy failed, so this would be considered a new levy. Because it's based on new values of properties, it would bring in more per millage, per mill, so that, what's the break even for the 6 versus, the old 6 versus the new millage, Jim?
5.4 mils would bring in approximately 314,280. The old 6 mil would have brought in 311,287.
So the options for council would be to put the 6 mil levy back on and use the additional revenues, or it would be to reduce the levy, the millage, to make it perhaps more palatable. Again, it lost by 3 votes and it was a very low turnout, so that's kind of council's decision.
Am I understanding these numbers correctly, that had the 6 mil passed last fall, the renewal would be bringing in 320,000?
Yes.
Okay, so the 320 is what we need to be comparative to.
Well, what the old levy brought in was 311, so the
311.
new levy,
But when it renewed, it would have bumped up to 320.
so 5.5 mils
So-
would be the 320,100, according to the auditor's estimate.
So, and this is a 4-year renewal, 5-year renewal?
5-year operating.
That's the maximum you can request.
So the equivalent, we're either looking at the 5.5 or the 6.
So, I don't know how many people remember back to 2009, 2010, but the village had I believe it was a 10 mil levy, might have been a little bit more, that had failed. And when that happened, the millage was reduced to 6. So, my time on council, we have been operating, barely getting by, barely making ends meet. My preference would be to do the 6 mil levy, which will bring in 349,000. That's only another 30,000, but this is for operating for the next 5 years, so the cost of everything are going to continue to go up. So I think it would be in our best interest to renew the 6 mil levy.
I'll have to recoup what we're not getting, so I would like the 6 as well.
So I have back of the envelope here that, I presume these aren't the only options. That you could ask for 18 mils if you really wanted to. Okay, nobody wants that. Or at least I can't afford it. So a full replacement by my back of the envelope would be 6.4 mils, where the 6.0 is going to recoup about 2/3 of what we would have lost in this instance. I'd like to be reminded of the total voting structure that's ahead of us with the other levies coming soon. I can explain why in a moment, but we're facing the renewal for the other operating levy in what cycle?
Jim's got that, I think it's, so 12,
This is the final year of that levy, so it could be placed on the ballot in November of this year, primary of next year, or the actual main election.
So we have 3 cracks at it, not counting
That's
May, which we're using for this.
Right. So,
And so, okay, so my thinking is, again, it's best to ask to recoup some of this now. I don't know the politics of, I don't know if everybody knows exactly what millage they're paying. Either way, it's going to look like a tax increase when we bring it back, so I think we're fighting that either way. And I think it makes sense to, okay, take our lumps, not try to recover it all in one fell swoop. Have a hard look at our books, say, what are our priorities, what do we want to accomplish in 5 years? And then, as much as politically possible, make the case for either replacing the remaining 1/3 that's left behind by this 6.0 number, or asking for what we really want. If there are other priorities and justifications for a higher number. So I think 6 is a good compromise. I'm not inclined for the lower numbers myself.
The levy that is expiring at the end of this year, what was the millage on that?
that is 3.9 mils.
And that one was put on, I think in 2012. That was our 2012 or 13, because we were so financially strapped with the 6 mil levy. That one was put on, was it 2012 or 13 that that one was put on initially?
It was originally voted on in 13.
13, okay. And then it renewed.
Was, I guess, renewed in 18. I guess 17.
So if we raise that to 4.0, would it not be a renewal and therefore reset the rates collected?
Correct, it would reset as a new rate.
So for a 0.1 mil increase, what we would manifest is a refresh of the valuations that it's milling on, if that's a verb.
But then you're also
So-
not going with it being a renewal of what they,
Yeah.
so,
That's 6 months from now's
Right.
deliberation, but I'm remembering some limit of 10 mils total for some application. What is that consideration?
Is that the inside and the outside millage, Jim?
The inside millage for the general fund is we have 0.7, and also inside is the police pension fund of 0.3 mils. So those are inside the 10, they stay constant, and so you could do away with one or the other and still keep that millage. Right now, the police pension fund is, in our contract with the sheriff, we have the retirement mentioned in there, so that money can be used to pay for the sheriff's contract, and it is, so.
I'm just not sure if there'd be a risk of like it failing and people voted against it. I mean, I feel like at one point they said all the Cleves, a lot of the levies failed by Cleves voters, so if we don't make an effort to maybe reduce it, maybe, I don't know if we'd have a better chance of passing it, but I get.
I mean, I know what you're saying, Kevin, but I don't know that I would feel comfortable pushing it even further to a 6.4 or a 6.5.
Well, I'm not
I mean, I know.
Maybe agree.
Yeah, I'm not advocating for
Okay.
that in this case.
Right.
I was just putting that number out there for a rule of thumb or reference.
So I have a question, on the 5.5 mil, what would that mean for a $100,000 house? Like around 43 per year, or what about a $200,000 house?
If the auditor gave me that information.
I believe for like a $200,000 house, it would be around $100 extra a year for a 5.5 mil. We put that on. And for a $100,000 house, it would be 43
You know that,
per year. That's assessed value.
Per mill?
Assessed value is different, also on a house, according to the county.
You can tell
I think
A lot
what
of different
heard
things.
is that there was like a bunch of different tax levies, last fall. There was the parks and the children and
There were four altogether, yes.
4 altogether, and I think people just went in and voted no on all of them.
Cleves residents did.
Yeah, the other three passed countywide, but failed here.
I do not have the per household, for what the new amount would be, that would come when we send this to the auditor's office.
You want to request that so we can have that info?
Yeah, so, but unfortunately, the timeline for,
Right, no, we'll have it, so we can post it, and we can
Yeah.
put it out there and have it if somebody is asking of what,
yeah,
you know,
we'll be
that
able
way
to
we
tell them
can.
what,
Right.
yeah, what it's gonna
Which-
cost per
Yeah,
month.
like we've done before, I mean, it'll be comparable to what it was.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
I also think we have to make an effort to get the voters out. Like, it was a really low voter turnout. So, I actually called the Board of Elections to see what an elected official can and can't do. You can't spend money. We can't spend any village money. But, a citizen-led action committee, can solicit businesses, and then they also, would have to file with the Board of Elections just like a pre and a post, financial report. We'd have to file with Board of Elections. So it would have to be like citizen-led, and then, they would have to appoint a treasurer among themselves. And we can participate, but we can't, donate, money.
Village funds. Personal funds you can, not even personal funds?
Not from,
I don't know.
that's from council, I don't think.
I don't know that.
Nine
but-
point oh three, and it's real murky, but how it, guess, my question would be, you get paid from several different entities, your regular job, this job, how do they know where the money, you know what I mean? It's one of those where it's
I wouldn't
probably
even
not
wanna,
worth
I wouldn't even wanna take the chance.
it's probably not worth the risk versus what the ultimate reward there would be. You are absolutely within your right, you can walk door to door, you can talk about it, you can do all those things so long as you're not being compensated with public funds.
No, I meant like contribute to, like if I personally
Right.
wanted to be on the committee to help get the levy passed,
Mhm.
can I, with my personal money from my employer, can I buy
So
signs
he's saying
to
that
put
you
in
were
the yard?
getting
Yeah,
paid by
that's
the
where,
village
that's where
there.
9.03
That's where it
gets a
gets
little,
murky.
and it's also odd because it technically says it doesn't apply to municipal corporations, but, I just think it would be cleaner and safer, to distance yourself as far as that goes, but use your efforts more towards, like I said, you can go door to door, you can do all of those things, but just financially distance yourself is probably the better course of action.
No, like say it's citizen-led, and then they among themselves, like the citizens, not elected, they appoint a treasurer. But we can help them organize, or we can help them go door to door, we can help them pound sign
You
things.
donate your time all you want.
Oh, time all you want, or even just help organize it.
Yeah,
No money.
I would
Pay
constitute
the
that as donating your
committee
time to
signs
the
or
effort.
whatever.
No money.
Yeah, just for the public.
Last time there was no signage, and there wasn't a very good effort to get the vote out there, get the vote out, because it was a low voter turnout, I think that.
Because the committee has to create the signs.
Yes.
We had
Like
no
not,
committee.
not the village, there was no committee created.
How was the voter turnout at a primary anyway, usually, do we know? By any chance?
Well,
I was low even for a primary, from what I understand, it was 20-some percent. And
But I mean,
it's usually
26%.
higher.
Yeah, but
Pretty
in a
much
general
across the
election,
county.
this would, on a normal primary, it's probably lower than that.
Right. Even lower than that, yeah.
Yeah.
Mr. Brett, you were having a point?
So, the young lady at the auditor's office is very good to work with, and I did find the amount for $100,000, would be $35 annually
Thank you.
per mill.
And that's with what millage?
Per mill.
per mill.
Per mill, okay, okay.
So, and Tammy Dust is her name, in case you ever get a chance to see Dusty Rhodes and tell him what a good job she does.
$210 for six mil? Yeah.
Now, does that go up linearly? So if you were looking at a $200,000 home, is
No.
it?
Yeah, so it would be
Yeah.
$70 per mill for a 200,000.
And that's based on the assessed value, but also don't they take some, isn't there some rollback that's involved in that or some other process that the value of your house is really actually less than
What
what
the
you-
value is.
Yeah, what the value is, so you get
The
some
assessed
tax
value.
credits. Or,
Yeah, there's market value and assessed value, yeah.
Mhm.
Well, how would everybody feel about a 5.5 mil? That would be kind of like the middle, like we wouldn't be asking for
Could
the
be putting us
same.
where we're at.
What?
Could be putting us where we were at.
I really, I mean, how do you think the voters would feel about that?
I'd rather put it back on at 6 mil, the same what it was, with a little higher increase for the 5-year span.
What's that? It's just down by, we missed it by what, 3 votes? I think if we get the word out.
I would prefer to put on the 6 mil. If we did the 5.5, which would be equal to what we're currently getting, and then a couple of years down the road, and then we have the one that possibly this fall next year, and then we get down the road, I don't wanna have to go back to the voters and ask for more or to bump it up.
Right, I mean, the
I
school board's gonna be
honestly-
coming on for a levy. They've been putting it off for as long as they can. They're gonna be coming on for a levy as well. I'm in favor of the 6.
So we're leaning to a
I think I'm
consensus
in
of
favor
6?
of the 6.
Yeah.
Of the 6, yeah, I am in favor.
Yeah, I'm in favor of 6 mil.
What do we do with it, Counselor? Just that we have the information, and we can,
Isn't our timing, isn't our timing that we
Yeah, I mean,
need to do, we need to
we
vote
have
on
to
this
do that.
tonight?
Correct.
Yeah, our timing is we need to
Make a
vote.
motion for the 6, have a roll call vote.
Yeah.
And then, we're at the,
Yeah,
this is
but
a
have
draft
that on the-
resolution anyway, so.
Mhm.
Vote on the draft, but we'll put the-
Actually have
So-
the resolution
Should we
under
leave this
solicitor's
session?
report.
should we leave this section first and then go
I
back
would
to
do
the
it under
regular meeting?
solicitor's report and let Doug
Yeah.
think otherwise.
No, that's fine, I don't know that really matters, so.
All right, what are we doing?
I know, sorry.
So do we want to make a motion on the 6?
Yeah, just do it, and then we'll address it again, it's fine, whatever, it doesn't really matter, that's just. Just make a motion for the 6, and then we'll add it in the solicitor's report.
So we have 6 mills on the floor. Do we have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Roll call, please, Mr. Brett.
Mr. Burns,
Yes.
Ms. Brady,
Yes.
Ms. Myers,
Yes.
Ms. Meister,
Yes.
Mr. Williams,
Yes.
and Ms. Wood.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. And on to our solicitor's report, Mr. Nicholas.
Along the lines of what we just discussed, Resolution 1, 2022, to submit to the Hamilton County Board of Elections a current general operating expenses tax levy to be voted upon by the electors of the Village of Cleves at the May 3rd, 2022 primary election at a rate of 6.0 mils as discussed. This is obviously a draft because we didn't know. There is one thing we're going to have to fix, Jim, in Section 1. It had last year's general election date. So we'll move that around as this was just a draft anyway.
I'll make that motion as stated by our solicitor.
I'll second.
Roll call, please, Mr. Brett.
Mr. Burns,
Yes.
Ms. Brady,
Yes.
Ms. Myers,
Yes.
Ms. Meister,
Yes.
Mr. Williams.
Yes.
Ms. Boyd.
Yes.
Thank you, Joe. To our departmental reports, Sergeant Carney with the Sheriff's Department.
Well, year-to-date,